Hey, what's up you guys? You're watching Team APS, and as you can see, I'm with everybody again. So as a special treat, we're going to do a video that a viewer requested, and each explain the type of decks that we like to build and why. So, Alex, Paul, Trell, and Alec will all take turns, and to make sure that this flows somewhat smoothly, we've got this thing, which is going to function, I don't know, it's going to function as a talking stick. So, if you're holding the talking stick, you get to talk. And if you talk out of line, what happens if you talk without the talking stick?
I don't know, we're all wrong with me.
No, you don't have the talking stick. Okay, we'll just, I guess like left to right. You can start.
Alright, so, let me make this clear. Now that I have this, I am God, I control all. Okay, Thanos. What'd you just do?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Okay, so you all know me. I'm like the most casual noob up in here. So when I get a deck, really? Okay, wait. When I get a deck, it's gonna be the most flashy. It's gonna have probably been in the anime. It's probably gonna have to special summon a lot. I play decks that are weird, not good, but are just kind of cool looking. Especially anything that reminds me of Power Rangers. I'll play that any day. So for me, I'll always go first for spam decks. I first collect all the cards of the archetype. I don't care what they are, I collect them all first. Then once I got the cards, I start, I put them all in, see what they can do, take out what's not useful, add in things that I think are useful. And after that, I badger Alec for a while, see what he thinks I should do, because, I respect his opinion too much. And after that, I use the internet. The internet helps a lot with finding the nice text. And that's basically what I do.
Alright, so for me, this is awkward. For me, usually my thing, I don't really like play a lot in real life, so I mostly play online, but when I'm building decks, I tend to gravitate toward top tier decks kind of after they've died. So, like every deck kind of ends up getting hit and then it's just there and it's not really that great. I usually like to play them at that point. So, like I enjoy playing wind-ups because they aren't at full power, but they're still really fun and challenging to play. I like playing Mermails right now, it's a lot of fun. I'll probably pick up something like Shadal's or Burning Abyss kind of after maybe the next ban list does something to them, and then I'll be like, oh, let's see if I can still use it in this form. And I think that for me, for the actual type of decks I like to play, I kind of gravitate away from anything that's like really slow and grindy, but I also don't like OTK decks. So I just like the things that are like plusy, average speed. I'd say Mermails fit in that category. I'd say wind-ups kind of fit in that category. Maybe the only exceptions like spellbooks or something like that, because they're just weird, kind of boring. But those are the ones I like. So
now that I have a talking stick, screw you. Wait to say that. Alright, everybody, you all know me. I'm Trell. I am technically the only competitive player here. And I say technically because I mean they play competitively. I think I do it a little more seriously than everyone else. So you guys know that as far as decks are concerned with me, I believe versatility in the game is key. So I've never been held down to just one type of deck. You guys have seen I've built all kinds that have been control, spammy, aggro. I realize I'm a very high energy person, so I know that in general I like decks that are high energy. They have a lot of options to them. You okay?
Me?
I thought you like this. Oh, okay. But no, I like decks that have a lot of moves, a lot of options, a lot of combos to them. Something that I know can be consistent, but they can be spammy. And if all else fails, for those of you who have met me in person, you know that my nickname is The Rub. It's because I like to rub my opponent the wrong way. So if I can't be spammy and aggro, I will be very controlling and trolly. Like, I mean, I've done things like empty jar, OTK, and things like that, just because even though they may not be the fastest, they really can piss your opponent off. And I think that's probably the best thing ever. Because if I can't beat you, then I'll just hurt your feelings. It's one or the other. So right now, I play a lot of meta. Or if I'm not playing meta exactly, I'll play a deck that can counter the meta. Not specifically anti-meta, but just a deck that I know works really well against the meta. Like in the E-Dragon format, I played Watch because Watch were very disruptive towards the E-Dragon strategy, and it was very successful. So my thing is usually trying to, whenever I'm building decks, my thing is either trying to be aggro and spammy, or just trying to make you play at my own pace, and you have to wait it out.
Jesus Christ, I've been waiting forever.
Hey, first you last.
Might not have been the best system, but
it feels really weird. But so yeah, y'all know I'm Alec.
When I look for a deck, I like to play a long kind of grind game. I like a slow game where it's just me versus my opponent. We're playing for advantage. We're trying to burn up the other one's resources. So I like a deck that has a lot of longevity. I don't like decks that spin out too fast. Now, that's not always true because I'm also a big fan of I like to summon monsters. Like decks that do a lot of summoning of monsters and the monsters are the key. Those are also some of my favorite decks. That's one. I played Lights One for a little while just because I was able to play them with zombies and make synchro plays. I could make all kinds. I could summon monsters all kind of ways, bait out traps. It was fun for me. The deck it didn't last long enough for me though. I couldn't grind. It wasn't a grind game and it wasn't as fun for me. That's really it. Just grindy decks or monster spam decks. As far as how I'll go about building decks, well, I'm weird. I always hate the idea when we just go on the internet and see what else is running with and just take that. Instead, I force myself to just to go on one of those simulators and pick out every card of whatever particular archetype I'm building. And for that, I find what I like. I limit my numbers to what I think is good and what I like, and then I think of whatever text I can put in. See if I can beef it up some. And if I'm short cards, or if I have way too many cards, or if I test it and it's really inconsistent, then I'll go online and be like, all right, what y'all got for me? Because whatever I'm working with isn't working. So viewers, he's really truthful. I mean, he could not have lied there. But I gotta make one small amendment. Like, did y'all know he built a Red Eyes Ritual deck? And it was neat. It was really neat. It had some good moves in there. But he kept on teching Necros into it. Like, after any loss, he teched another Necros in, and another, until the deck legitimately became a Necros deck that ran Lord of the Red.
I didn't want to stretch it up.
So what are our thoughts? I guess we can kind of all chip in here. That's kind of like to me like the typical story of the kid who bought the $200 tour guides for his Fiend deck and then suddenly realized why not just play Dino Rabbit or something? Yeah, it was like that. What are our thoughts on hybrid decks, everyone? I know that's kind of a thing. What do we can all just sort of pitch in here.
Well, for me, I always want to build a hybrid deck, but
they're tough.
If I try it just off my own faculties in my mind, it becomes a coin flip deck where it's either half the deck works, the other half doesn't.
Oh yeah, I know how that goes.
And a tenth of the time it goes off really hard, and I'm like, yeah, this is what it's all about. But
other times it's
other times it's garbage.
I've always found them to be kind of you really have to pick two decks that basically are doing the same thing anyway. Like, you remember the Burning Abyss Shadal stuff? Yeah, that was really popular. But I feel like that only really worked because they're already the same thing roughly, and so it's
in the grave and I work.
Yeah, and so you couldn't mix Burning Abyss and
Necros.
Yeah, it just doesn't really work as well. So.
Well, I found something good out of Aqua Actress and Frog, though. I mean, that's a little bit of the same thing you just argued against.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the actresses can run without the frogs entirely. They'll just do it.
Yeah.
But since there's nothing else, there's not enough Aqua Actress cards, you need something in there. And I found frogs were a viable option. They were fast, slow. They're
frogs.
They're frogs.
So the frogs were frogs, and I put in Submarine Frog for those strong attacks. That's all I gotta say.
As far as hybrids, I think I'm all for hybrid decks. In fact, the majority of my decks usually are hybrid. And actually, we look at a lot of recent past winning decks. A lot of them have been hybrids as well. Let's think about Hat. Hat is pretty much a full hybrid deck. There's opinions, artifacts, there's trap tricks. That is 3 different separate engines, so to speak, in one deck that all have the same purpose of disruption, and it worked perfectly. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
That deck was crazy. There was,
and very annoying.
Exactly, and so it served its purpose pretty much. I mean, there's trap cards to back up anything else, and and then more attack was at 3. So if there's a problem the trap cards can handle, more attack got rid of it for you.
Some would say if it's not annoying, it's not winning.
I would say, it feels like there are certain decks that lend themselves better to being hybrids.
Right.
Like, I think Shaddoll's actually are one of the ones that can mix well with a lot of stuff.
A lot of anything.
Yeah.
Like, you can just put, like, there's like that Shaddol Madolce thing. And, like, there's things like that where it's just, you just take your 10-card Shaddol engine and then, like, a few Shaddol fusions and just put in whatever else.
Somebody got second place last week in my local with Fluffadolls.
Yeah, and then that stuff works, is what's really cool.
Actually, remember a hybrid deck that people didn't even realize was a hybrid because it just kind of all ran together was Night Swarm Night Ray.
Yeah,
Oh,
Light Ray Swarm.
Yeah, where it actually kind of
That
spelled like
won
it.
a lot. It got a lot of tops in this time.
It worked
Yeah.
so well. I thought it had to be on purpose.
Because I remember I remember when Night Ray first came out, I pulled them, looked at it, this would work in, did you?
I always have this
This
argument.
works in Night Swarm. And I just put them in there, and it worked so seamlessly. It wasn't even like there were two archetypes. So it was
I feel like
Konami
Konami probably was the intention. And also, like, so what about when we're making techs? When, like, you're kind of thinking of the cards that don't directly have to do with your deck, right?
Right.
But they still have to go in. So, like, when you're putting in the staples, the spells and traps, what do you gravitate toward? What do you kind of prefer over certain other things?
Well, let's see. When it comes to staples and techs, it's really hard for me to choose any. I'm not good at the game enough to know where you're supposed to be putting in your deck to beat matchups.
That's fair.
So when it comes to techs, I look for things that either make a deck more well-rounded, it makes up for one of its weaknesses. Like, I'll be looking for a spot removal if the deck doesn't have it. I'll be looking for swingers if the deck can't swing.
Right, yeah.
But otherwise, I ask one of these guys because I don't know.
Well, for me, I think I used to be kind of more like slow rolly. Like I was that kind of person who'd always pick Pot of Duality over, say, like Upstart Goblin. But I think recently I've kind of adjusted. Nowadays I'll just play whatever feels like the deck needs. Like I used to be like, oh, I'm starting Reckless or Lame, but now I'll use them if like the deck feels like it works better with that than like Duality. Then so be it. I try to use cards that kind of cover a weakness the deck has. Like if it's one of those decks that can't pop spells and traps on its own, then I'll run an ST, things like that. I'm definitely about my traps. I know some people are not about like putting traps in decks. People who are either like no traps or like 3 Decree and that's it. But I'll usually make room for traps. I would always pick those over like OTK decks. 'Cause I feel like I don't really like decks that are super fragile and like glass cannon-y. I always want to feel like I can at least, if things go wrong, main phase 2, set like a Fiendish, set something like that. That's usually where I tend to go with my tech cards.
Alright, for my tech cards, as y'all know, I'm more of the meta player here. Usually, when it comes to the meta, we know that most decks in the meta are standard build. Like there's ways that you can add things to them. There's usually a lot of, like I said, there's tech that you can add into them. But overall, they're pretty standard. Like you look in the crawls, they're pretty standard. Things like that, Play Force, they're pretty standard. So when you look at like top 16 lists and stuff like that, they usually have just about the same deck list card for card.
The cookie cutters.
Right, there the exact same thing. You'd have swore that they were all friends and they all discuss deck lists because everything's almost card for card, which is fine. It just shows that they all realize this works, so they're gonna go with it. So my thing when it comes to tech is what can disrupt that. And when I think of anything that's a tech card, I think of two things. I think of the surprise factor and I think of power. And I literally think of this, so I'm going to tell you guys. I think of it like a kick in the nuts. Like, if somebody's about to kick you in the nuts and you know it's coming, you can brace yourself for it. But if they're going to kick you in the nuts and you don't see it coming, it hurts 10 times more because you're not ready for that. And that's how I look at my text. Like when I made my...
Can I just not get kicked in the nuts?
No, you cannot, sir. This is Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Kicks you.
All in the fucking fields. But, and that's how I do it. Like when I made my Familiar Possessed deck, I knew that the format was primarily based on spell cards. So I was like, I'm going to put Secret Village of the Spellcasters in there because everything in my deck is a spellcaster. It was a kick in the nuts to a lot of decks that could not play their spell cards because, what do you know, they need their spell cards to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So it hurts that even more because your deck is great and it's designed to do what it can do, but it cannot do that because of this kick in the nuts because you can't breathe. And that's how I feel when it comes to text and anything. Like I play Shaddol. Everybody knows that my main deck right now is Shaddol's. And like Paul said, Shaddol is one of the most versatile decks that we've had in a very long time. And I literally change my Shaddol deck every week. And that's just because I'm always trying something new. I'm always wanting to surprise people, like I said. And the surprise factor is key because you're already playing a deck that's good. But if you also give it a surprise factor as well, that gives you just that much more advantage over your opponent. So I like the surprise factor, because it coupled with the fact that it's already a good deck. is just a much more bigger kick in the nuts, and that's how I choose whatever tech card I'm going to use, or tech cards, because usually I use more than one. So that's my case, sir.
As far as when it comes to teching cards, I'm kind of like an addict. Like,
What type of that?
Right.
I'm addicted to any card that will be attacking a deck, which could be just about anything. But I focus on anything that a card that's half decent in the build, and if it does something that my opponent wouldn't expect, I love it. I mean, if my deck has Wind Moths in it, I'm gonna want to try and tech in Icarus attacks. Now, through testing, a lot of the times I find that because of my addiction to teching cards, I get a lot of bricks. So you have to cut it down by a lot. But it's gonna be you'd be hard pressed to find me without running a deck that just has like just random shit that works half the time, and I can't help it. It's what I do.
Go hard or go home.
Yeah, kinda.
No, I agree with that. I think that that's a cool way to think about it. I've actually always been like a really purist type of person. That's not to say that I like cookie cutter versions of things. I just like when I build stuff, I usually I'm like 3 of, 2 of kind of person. Like I don't really like 1 of techs. I feel like if you're gonna tech something, like I'm always like if you're gonna tech something, then I kind of want to see it. So I don't want to only run 1. I know a lot of people are big fans of like this one random copy of this thing and like it's really cool. But I'm kind of a by the numbers guy. So if I'm playing like in 10 rounds of a YCS, and I feel like running 1 copy of this card, if I don't see it, then that could have just been a 3rd copy of something I'm running 2 of. So you know what I mean? And I know that doesn't always cut it because sometimes you need just the kind of weird random 1 of. But I just don't like a lot of those. That I'm kind of a more boring person.
So my most recent tech was actually that new what's it called, that explosive card that came in the last set?
Oh, Secret Blast, something like that.
Wait, is it?
It's
I don't
a
know that
trap
either.
card and it does like 300 for every like monster that's on the field.
Every card that your opponent controls.
Oh, every
Oh,
card.
that's
It is Secret Blast.
Yeah, Secret Blast.
Oh, common, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I teched it into Gem Knights.
Oh yeah, because they can already burn, can't they?
Yes, so
Yeah.
I turned them into a neat little
Yeah,
burn
cool.
deck, and that card rounded out really well for game-winning damage in the end. Because we all know Lapis Lazuli puts the work in.
Bitch.
Yeah, she's really good though. So any kind of final words on like just kind of little miscellaneous things, little things you like or don't like when you're building decks? I think it's always interesting because like when somebody comes to you for like deck help, just anybody, like you come to your friend for deck help,
Yeah.
and like if you come to me, I'll give you like a different answer than if you come to like Trell. And it's one of those things where it kind of shows what people prefer. Like if someone's like, Paul, help me with this, and I'll be like, okay, well you need to take out these things because they make it less consistent, and like that and that and that. But maybe if you go to him, he might be like, no, like you just need to change this, this, and that. So it's not about consistency, it's about this. And so I think it's really cool that everybody has these different opinions, and it really like shows.
In my case, because I do get people asking me, for deck builds and things. In fact, the other night, which mind you, people, I'm back on Dueling Network. I don't know if you guys knew, but my Dev Pro screwed up, so I'm on Dueling Network. So you might find me on there playing. I'll play if you. I don't play randoms. I only play people that that actually ask me. But anyway, like the other night I was actually playing a subscriber on Dueling Network the other night, and he asked me for some deck tips. And my first tip to anybody when it comes to deck building tips is to know what your play style is. That's my first tip, is because what works for me may not work for you. Like I know what I like to do and how I like my decks to be built, and I'm all about secret techs and I'm all about randomness and like I said, the surprise factor. But it may not work in your mind the way it works for me. So my thing is for a person to always decide what they want. I mean, what kind of play style they play. Like I have a friend right now. He admittedly knows that he plays linear decks. Like that's his thing. He's good with that one for one combo that he can see and that he can predict. So he sticks with decks like those. That doesn't make it a bad thing. It just means that's his play style. He's accepted it. He's acknowledged it. So now he knows how to move forward with that. And so that's how I feel like whenever you're building a deck, know what you're good at, know what you can handle. Because that's real. Like I know how Ritual Beasts work, but I would never play that fucking deck. Like I hate how that deck runs. Like And I know the combos, but I don't feel like I'm winning when I play that deck. I can be in the lead. I don't feel like I'm winning when I play that deck. It's not my thing at all.
Like you're drowning while you're playing.
You're like, oh my god, we're going on. We're fucking going in.
It's
What
like
I
when
just do?
chicken game gets played. Doesn't matter who was winning. You're both losing.
Pretty much.
I hate that card.
Somebody got to get their ass when you play chicken game. Like, I'm just saying.
Someone's getting messed up.
Somebody.
Quick.
We flipping tables. That's all I'm
I don't
saying.
want to have to use it in tournaments. I don't, but I have
really
3
pretty
copies, and
You might as well bring it.
if
You-
someone uses it against me, I need my own copies.
No,
Well, yes, you need one, but if
It's a
they're gonna
very
fuck
good
up
card.
your whole match, you might as well fuck up theirs too, right?
Yeah.
It's like the
I'm not about to fuck
alternative
up.
to. Anyway, I don't know. Let me shut up.
And also, like I said, also with that being said, like I said, we know that most decks in the format or in general have cookie cutter builds. So, like I said, once again, that cookie cutter build may not work for you. I typically don't like a lot of the top shit all. Excuse me, decks that top. Doesn't mean that they're not good. It just means that they're not for me.
Right.
And that's not a bad thing. You just have to know what your strengths are. My strengths are doing things that are unexpected. As opposed to you, because everybody know. I have top 16 decks memorized just because I know I'm going to see a lot of those. And that goes for a lot of other competitive players. So that being said, I don't want you to be able to memorize my deck. I want you to be able to drop your jaw when I play a card. And that's the thing. So whenever you're trying to deck build, and net decking, there's nothing wrong with net decking. Just get that out. There's nothing wrong with net decking. My thing is, if you're ever going to net deck, you should never leave it as just that. If you're going to net deck, you net deck it, okay, this is a good formula. How can I make it work
Yeah,
for
I
me?
always say use it as a base.
Exactly. Like I know people that will net deck and they will keep it card for card, the exact card, months after it was relevant in that exact time. And that's my thing. Like you want to stick with the times. You want to stick with what you know is good for you.
Right.
So
I just got one thing to say about
But
deck building. What?
But I was getting.
What? Oh, yeah. I would, actually. I would.
Forbidden Lance is not the only forbidden card.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
No, he's not wrong.
he's not.
They're all pretty decent cards.
I like
so-
scripture.
Like scripture.
I really like scripture.
I'm running
Yeah.
Lance and Chalice, I believe, in my Raid Raptors.
Chalice is awesome.
I play scripture against despots. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, it just like lowers their attack.
Yeah,
They're back to their original tag.
Just
You
done,
like
sorry.
shit, nigga.
Well,
It's so good.
I think that we've droned on for a while.
Yeah.
So, we really hope you guys enjoyed this. We hope it gives you a bit of insight into our process and our mindsets. Obviously, we're all, different types of players, and the fun part about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that, you are your own person. You can build it, you can build decks however you want, you can play them however you want, and things usually go wrong when you try to play, things that aren't made for you. And so, yeah. Hopefully you guys really liked that. This was actually like a subscriber request. I don't remember exactly who did it. I'm really sorry,
It's
but
probably Giant or didn't he give you like a list?
yeah.
But no matter what, you're welcome.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's the video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and of course, in the description, please share how you build decks. What is your process? What archetypes or deck types do you gravitate toward? What type of text do you like? What do you not like?
And we stress there's no bad answer.
Except chain burn.
Yeah. So leave it in the comments, and we'll probably all be down there answering at some point or another, chatting about it. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitch. We live stream sometimes, and
So lazy.
yeah. So I think that's it. Expect to see more of us now that we're all back together. It's been a while.
Planet Tears.
Yeah. So
Like your powers combined.
that is that. Hope you guys liked it. We'll catch you later.
Is that copyright?
Team APS out.
Team APS. Oh yeah, we're supposed to say that, don't we?
Oh, do we?
We need to actually have something.
Someone used to always say that in the
You would
video.
always say that.
Yeah.
And Alex started doing it too, and it works
I
out.
mean, I'm pretty sure I started.
I've never done it before.
I've never done it either. I
I
just
mean,
kind
I'll
of
make
let
sure
you
it
guys
happens.
do it.
Leave
I'll
you
make sure
guys
it
on the
happens.
end. That's
Bye
fine.
everybody.
Peace.